Good Wednesday afternoon, friends. This is the midweek message for Harris Chapel. My name is Jim, and about this time of the day, anywhere between 2 and 3 o'clock, my eyes get heavy. So I'm going to do my best to stay awake, to stay alert, and to keep energized because I believe I have an important word as part of the midweek message that I share with our Harris Chapel family I want to give to you. A lot of times when people come on here with an opinion, with an idea, with an agenda, they usually speak from a place of experience. They will speak from a place of expertise. Either way, they'll give you their opinion. I want to come to you today, and I want to pick the word that I gave you earlier this morning on Early Risers, and the word is disconnect. I want to talk to you this afternoon, today, about something that I stink at. I'm not very good at. I love to sing. I love to get out and walk in nature. I love to go hiking and camping and fishing. I love to watch different TV shows. I love to spend time with my wife, kids, grandkids. I love to spend time with my church family, especially Sundays. Look forward to every Sunday. One thing, this is confession time, I have stunk at. I guess I could say I suck at, but that sounds a little bit too abrupt. Pretty descriptive. Pretty accurate, is one of the 10 Commandments. Now, you're familiar with the different 10 Commandments. No other gods before me. Don't take the name of the Lord in vain. Don't murder. Don't steal. Don't covet. There's all kinds of, don't commit adultery, all kinds of different commandments. But there's one of the commandments that we really don't talk about. And if we do, we don't hold each other accountable for. So I'm going public this afternoon asking you to hold me accountable for this commandment. If you have a Bible, you can go to the book of Genesis, second book of the Old Testament, second book of the Bible, Exodus, Genesis, Exodus is where we're at. It's in chapter 20. That's where you see the 10 Commandments spelled out. Now, in the movie, The 10 Commandments, it just kind of goes through quickly, and God just somehow with special effects takes this laser beam fire and etches it in these stones for Charlton Heston as he's in the background going, ah. Maybe we should look at those 10 Commandments in the same respect as they were given in that Cecil B. DeMille movie years ago. I'm going to go right to the one that speaks to what I want to speak to you about this afternoon. And again, I'm not an expert. I do have an idea. I do have an agenda, but I stink at what I'm about to tell you. So as I talk to you about this, please listen, and maybe you can even put some comments in there that will help me out, that have helped you. It says this: remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you, nor your son, or your daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigners residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, but he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Now that's a big chunk right out of Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 down through verse 11. And we remember those others. Oh, there's another going. Honor your father and mother, that it may go well with you. That's the one, the commandment that comes with a promise. But I confess to you, over these years, my entire adult life, I've had a very difficult time honoring the Sabbath. I had a friend who lived back in Texas, right outside of the Fort Worth area. The town he lived in was heavily populated with Seventh-day Adventists. They worship on Saturday. So Saturday is their Sabbath. He and his wife, who went to our church, which was a Nazarene church in Burleson, lived in that little town. But he said when he went out to mow the yard on Saturday, his neighbors basically gave him the stink eye, because to them, Saturday was holy. I'm not talking about legalism, but I am talking about disconnecting. Do you have a day of the week that you disconnect? Do you have a day of the week where you truly rest? Pastor Dan and I, my associate pastor, are going through this book right now. It's entitled The Emotionally Healthy Leader. We went to a pastor's meeting, not this month, but a month ago, And the lady that taught it, Katie Bennett, she's so kind and she's so sweet. But I tell you what, this is a book that will just smack you right between the eyes. One of the things it talks about, a whole chapter, is practicing Sabbath delight. I believe, let me just tell you this. I do believe this. I'm struggling when it comes to practice this, though. If we will honor the Lord and give him a Sabbath, he will make up for us the things that we did not do on that day throughout the week. Our level of energy, our ability to accomplish so many different tasks. You don't hear anything about a company like Hobby Lobby or Chick-fil-A suffering because they take off Sunday. I've noticed more fast food and companies taking off Sunday these days, the Sabbath. And it's kind of funny, though, the reason they have to is because they have a hard time finding workers. They have a hard time finding good help. I'm talking about this idea of having an intentional day you set aside to honor the creator of the universe. I'm going to say it one more time. Hopefully this is the last time I say it. I stink at this. I need help. I need your input. I need your comments to help me through this. If you walk through this book, the writer gives some great pointers, some great principles to help you find what you need for that day of rest. I've got different books on my shelf that have talked about that. It also, I believe, helps us not just to get tasks done, it helps us emotionally. It helps us mentally. Our mind needs a reset. Can I ask you a pretty obvious question? If the creator of the universe needed a day to rest, don't you think you and I need a day to rest? Think about that. I believe it will help us. It will recharge our batteries. Just like every night I put this device that you're watching, I put it on a charger. I could not run it for 5 or 6 days without it needing to be charged. It goes on the charger every night. This little device, I put it on the charger every night. You have devices like that in your home because they need to be recharged. You and I need to be recharged. I could give you some practical things like, are you getting enough rest? When you go to bed at night, are you putting down the devices so you're not waking up through the night checking statuses on social media? Are you taking time to truly disconnect? I want to ask you on your Sabbath. Many of you, it is Sunday. For me, it's been Friday for a number of years, and I'm switching it over to Monday because of my wife's work schedule. I'm just telling you all these things because we need that time. We need that time. If we don't get that time to disconnect, we will be burning, I've heard this said before, we're going to be burning the candle at both ends. When you burn the candle at both ends, what happens? You get stuck in the middle and you eventually get burned. Now, I don't know. There are all kinds of technical jargon that describe this whole idea of burnout. I'm not here to describe to you what that looks like. I know it's real. I know that we need that time. In fact, I heard a pastor say this years ago. He says, you need a Sabbath every day. And you need at least 3 or 4 days or a week every quarter. And you need so many weeks in the life of a year. You need to disconnect. I'm working on it. Now, let me give you some words and we'll get closer to the end of this midweek message. The first one is this: stop. Stop. Stop all those things that you do throughout the week. You say, Jim, when am I going to mow your yard or my yard? When am I going to do all these other chores I have to do? You've got 6 days to do all that stuff. You do. You can find time in the other 6 days to do that. Take 1 day and just literally stop. As Katie Bennett walked us through this exercise, she said, we're going to take 2 minutes just to be still. Those 2 minutes seemed like an eternity. And she even halfway through said, you've got a minute left. I'm like, crud, that seemed like 5 minutes. And it was only 1. Silence can really get to us. I had a relative one time that I went to visit them at their home. I promise you they had a TV in every room of their house. And if they didn't have one, like in one of the bathrooms, they didn't have a TV, but you could see the TV from the bathroom in the next room. We are inundated with messages, whether it be over the TV, over the social media. And here I am. I recently picked up one of those little balls that has Alexa on it. Not really sure I'm going to keep that. Alexa's always listening. I'm not talking about a conspiracy theory. I'm just talking about how handy it is to have this communication going back and forth. Maybe it'd be fun sometimes to have Alexa and Siri have a conversation and I can just leave the room. But the first word I want to give you is stop. It says here in the scripture the fact that we need to have this day. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Sometimes one of the most holy things you and I can do is stop. We don't need to answer every email on our Sabbath. We don't need to respond to every text and take every phone call and post 25 different times. I'm talking to you, Jim Ballinger. Stop. The second word is this, rest. I've already talked a little bit about that word rest. I'm not talking only about are you getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Here's some people say, well, I can function on 3 or 4. I usually end up visiting those people in hospitals when they've had a stroke or some kind of heart condition flare up. Our bodies are not designed to run on 3 to 4 hours sleep a night. And please don't try to prove me wrong. Get the rest you need. So stop, rest, and another way to disconnect is just to delight. Are you taking time on your Sabbath to delight in God's creation? Do you take time just to go for a walk? Do you take time just to, just do something that's out of the ordinary thing you do? If you love to read books, take time that day and don't read. If you don't read, take time that day and read. I'm just saying, whatever it is that's outside what you normally do, just to mix it up, not to create new things for you to do, but just to think of creative ways to disconnect. Again, if the creator of the universe disconnected after 6 days of all his work, shouldn't you and I disconnect? So stop, rest, and then delight. Again, delight. Maybe we could all meet up at Kincannon's for a donut. Or maybe I could buy you a strawberry shortcake at Ivanhoe's or share a pizza with you at Pizza King. I'm just talking about disconnecting, not creating more work for ourselves. I knew of people in generations gone by, they would not take the Sunday newspaper. They would not go out to eat on Sunday. In fact, I knew people that would prepare their meals on Saturday night so they wouldn't have to work on Sunday. I'm old enough to remember when stores weren't even open on Sundays, something called the Blue Laws. There are laws sometimes that are in place to protect us from our own stupidity. So stop, rest, delight. Take time and connect with those people who are around you. Disconnect with all the other things. Disconnect from your cell phone. Disconnect from social media. In fact, I just need to go on record right now and say 1 day a week I'm disconnecting from this. So Monday I won't be here because I'm going to disconnect and spend it with my wife. So I want to delight in our time together. I hope you do too. So we've got the word stop, rest, delight, and then contemplate. Oh, these are all big words. The word stop alone could take you the rest of your life just to say, what day of the week am I just going to stop? What day of the week am I just going to truly rest? What day of the week am I going to delight? And then, what day of the week am I truly going to contemplate? I see Travis, you're on here watching. Maybe you can help me with that, a definition of what it means to contemplate. Oh, I think of phrases like ponder, reflect, think about, but truly contemplate. And I'm not saying you're sitting there trying to, I know if I'm working on a project, maybe I'm working on a sermon or some kind of message I'm going to deliver, a devotional like maybe this. And I'm contemplating, what do I say? And I'll even lay there in bed. Sometimes I've done that when we're working on a project. I'm not a builder at all. But laying flooring over at the kids' house, it could be, I don't know, 12, 1,400 square feet. And Travis has put on there, meditate. I like that. Meditate. That involves silence. I'm just thinking of this idea of just truly not adding more to our thought life, because like I said, if I'm working on a project of building something, I'll lay awake and just for hours play that thing in my mind. We sometimes will watch a TV show entitled The Good Doctor, and he has this way of just kind of going into somewhat of a trance, and all of a sudden these objects appear in midair and it helps him solve whatever the crisis is. I'm not talking about problem solving. I'm just talking about as we are stopping and resting and delighting. Something that can help us in this idea of contemplating, or as Travis has said, meditating, is taking out a Bible and just reading through some Psalms, reading through some Proverbs. Now, those are pretty straightforward, and you don't have to think real hard on those. Right now in our reading of Through the Bible in a Year, we're in 2 Samuel. We were talking about this guy named Abner, which all I thought of when I was growing up was Abner Doolittle. And I'm like, what did Abner do? And why did he get so much time mentioned there in 2 Samuel? And why did he get cut up the way he did? And then all these other things that take place. And all of a sudden my mind's just off on these tangents. I'm sure you do that sometimes when you read a story or watch something on TV. You may grab your device and do a little Google search as to, I saw Sam Elliott on a TV show. How old is Sam Elliott? And all of a sudden we're Googling and finding. My dad has his tablet in his lap all the time. And when an airplane comes up or a certain movie star that he remembers, he'll start Googling that whole thing of when was that airplane made? How many did they make? Are there any still in service? All these things. Contemplating is just allowing the creator of the universe to speak his heart into your heart, his thoughts into your thoughts. Do you take time and do that? That's important. Take time. Contemplate. Again, you're not problem solving. You're not creating the next sermon or devotional. You're just taking time to allow God to become real in your heart and in your mind. So there it is. That's the midweek message I have for you, folks. And I encourage you to take time. Again, we can go through the 10 Commandments and you can name those. Don't steal, don't kill, don't commit adultery, don't take the Lord's name in vain, honor your father and mother, don't covet your neighbor's stuff. And then there's this one. And it's more than just not doing stuff. It's understanding that the creator of the universe needed that time. You and I need that time as well. To stop, rest, contemplate, and delight. I got them out of order. Stop, rest, delight, and contemplate. Think about that today, would you? And thanks to this writer, he's kind of kicking my shins a lot in this book because he deals with the idea of being emotionally healthy. And the chapter that Pastor Dan and I are working on right now is that chapter 2 where it talks about facing your shadow. What is a shadow? I'll give you this, then we'll go. Your shadow is the accumulation of untamed emotions, less than pure motives and thoughts, while largely unconscious, strongly influence and shape your behaviors. It is the damaged but most hidden version of who you are. Sometimes it reveals itself in sinful behaviors, such as judgmental perfectionism, outbursts of anger, jealousy, resentment, lust, greed, and bitterness. And that was not an outburst of anger. That was just my phone flipping off the tripod. So think about that today, folks. What are we doing to make sure that we're getting the Sabbath that we need? I'd like to pray with you before we go, and then we'll get out of here. Wish you, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Make it a great rest of your week.